Well, welcome everyone for joining us today. We know that life is very full right now, and we really appreciate you spending this time with us. My name is Nicole Imgrund, and I'm the owner and director of River's Edge Counseling Center. We are located in St. Albert, although these days we're meeting clients in all kinds of places across the province in their own spaces, wherever they can find a quiet, private place to meet with us as we're doing video counseling with our clients. We have 22 psychologists and counselors on our team, and we offer these Wellness Matters talks actually a couple of times every month. Usually we offer them at the center, but we've decided to take them online in these difficult times and come up with some topics that hopefully will help people to stay well through COVID and beyond. Today, Grant Wardlow is our presenter. Grant has been on the River's Edge team for over 4 years, and he works with adults, adolescents, and couples. In his work, Grant draws on a number of different approaches in working with clients in order to tailor the needs of his clients and help them meet their goals. But his focus is primarily insight-oriented and client-centered, although he draws on cognitive behavioral therapy, EMDR, narrative, and mindfulness approaches. And he is nearing the end of an intensive 2-year program to become a certified Hakomi therapist. Grant has a quote on his website that I thought was really apt in terms of who he is as a person and a therapist. And it says, "The most authentic thing about us is our capacity to create, to overcome, to endure, to transform, to love, and to be greater than our suffering," by Ben Okri. This really captures for me who Grant is as a therapist, someone who sees people for who they truly are without judgment, and meets them in their suffering and believes in them, and helps people to tap into their ability to heal and to grow as a person, despite and out of life's challenges. I have some good news and a bit of an announcement today, where Grant has offered to actually do this webinar every week for us for the next little while as we make our way through this challenging time. So today is a bit longer, an introduction for those who might not be familiar with mindfulness approaches, but he'll offer a new meditation every Wednesday at this time. Today, his presentation will be about 35 minutes, and then we'll go to the top of the hour with any questions that you have. And his weekly meditation will be a little shorter, just 20 or 25 minutes to help you in your day. You're welcome to make comments in the chat. I'm going to be keeping my eye on it throughout the hour. I really love to hear from you and who's here and how this is going for you, other ideas you might have for webinars or things that we can offer to help. And also, if you add to the Q&A, I'll keep track of them, and I will bring those questions to Grant after his presentation. So with that, Grant, I am going to turn it over to you.
Wonderful, thank you. Welcome, everyone. I want to thank you for joining me today in this webinar dealing with mindfulness meditation in times of uncertainty. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Nicole, who works tirelessly here at River's Edge, not only in supporting her own clients, but also supporting all the therapists in our office, as well as creating great opportunities for us to be able to meet in this way. I have to admit that when Nicole first put out that we were going to be changing from in-person wellness talks to an online format, my initial response was, no way, absolutely not. I'm not doing it. And in reflection, I can see why I responded in that way, or rather why I reacted in that way. A month ago today, I was en route to India via Toronto, and I landed in Toronto with a friend to be told that India was closing its borders. And so we returned to Edmonton the following day. Upon my arrival home, we were moving from, my work was changing, moving from being able to see clients in person to an online format. Theaters were closing, restaurants were closing. So lots of social venues that were really integral in terms of the way that I lived my life were no longer available for me. I was being asked to observe physical distancing, so I could no longer see friends, family in the way that I normally would. And all of this was really activating for me. And it took me probably 4 or 5 days in which time I was meditating to really ground myself, and so that I could come back to a place where I was no longer activated. Excuse me. a place excuse me. A place where I could re-engage with the world and move towards acceptance of this new normal. So what are we experiencing? Well, first and foremost, what I was experiencing and what many of us are experiencing is an increase in our stress and anxiety. And we are all feeling this. Remember that anxiety is our body's reaction to a perceived threat, whether or not that threat is real or imagined. And right now, we are facing a lot of very real threats. Threats to our health, threats to our finances, our jobs, threats to the economy, which are all destabilizing for us. We are living in an unprecedented time of uncertainty. And this really goes against human nature, because as humans, we love certainty. We love that sense of knowing. This allows us to prepare and feel in control. But right now, we don't have that semblance of control that we normally have. I think that we're also experiencing an increased sense of vulnerability. In many ways, living in North America, and specifically living in Canada, has provided us with a sense of security in relation to our health and our well-being. Now, while Canada has not been immune to virus outbreaks, the impact of these outbreaks on our lives has been relatively small. Also, we're being asked to practice physical distancing, self-isolation. All of these sort of go against the way that we normally would engage with the world. And all of these have a negative impact on our stress and anxiety. So how do we cope with this? One of the best ways of coping with an increase in stress and anxiety is to practice mindfulness. And one of the best ways to practice mindfulness is to practice mindfulness meditation. I apologize. So, a little history of mindfulness. We first see evidence of mindfulness practice within the context of yoga in the Hindu faith, dating back to about 1500 BC, so more than 3,000 years ago. Roughly 1,000 years later, it emerges in the Buddhist faith in the context of what we consider to be meditation as we know it today, spending time sitting and focusing on our breath. Now, the American professor of medicine, Jon Kabat-Zinn, is largely responsible for introducing the practice of mindfulness to Western culture some 40 years ago through the development of his program, Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction, which is still used today in medical centers, hospitals, and mental health institutions all around the world. If you Google mindfulness-based stress reduction, or if you go to the website Mindfulness Institute, you can explore ways that you can take and study this program here in Edmonton. So, what is mindfulness? According to Jon Kabat-Zinn, mindfulness consists of 4 elements. It is paying attention on purpose to the present moment without judgment. I'm going to say that again. Mindfulness is paying attention on purpose to the present moment without judgment. Paying attention to what? We can be mindful of any of our 5 senses. So we can be mindful of what we see, of what we hear, of what we smell, of what we taste, and also of what we touch, our tactile sense. We can also be mindful of our inner body sensations and what emotions are present for us at any given moment. We can also be mindful of our mental activities and what's going on in our minds in terms of thoughts, images, or memories. And the final piece of mindfulness awareness relates to the awareness of our interconnectedness. This is our relational sense, how connected we feel to ourselves, how connected we feel to other people, to life and the world around us. Now, there are two ways for us to practice mindfulness. The first is what we call informal practice. And we practice informally when we apply mindfulness to something we are already doing in our everyday life. An example of this would be eating. So just before coming on, I ate an apple. So to use that as an example, if I were practicing mindfulness as I was eating my apple, first would be sight, really looking at the apple, examining it, looking at its color, its shape, all the different parts of it. I would smell it. What does it smell like? In smelling it, what memory that evoked for me was actually a childhood memory of me coming home from school. My mom and dad had an apple tree in their backyard. And in September, I used to pick apples off the tree and have one on my way into the house. The next part would be our tactile sense, texture, touch. How does it feel? What does it feel like in our hand? What is the texture of it? And then finally, taste. And so if we're practicing informally as we eat, we're paying attention to all of those different aspects in the present moment. The other way we practice mindfulness is what we call formal practice. And this is what we commonly know as meditation. It entails setting a specific amount of time aside each day to mindfully pay attention and be present with our breath. Now, this type of meditation, we can do this for 1 minute, we can do this for several hours. And it is traditionally practiced in one of 4 body positions, either sitting, lying down, standing, or walking. Now, in its most basic form, the process of meditation is as follows. And if you only take home a little bit of information today, please take home this, that in its most basic form, meditation is the process of you have an awareness of your breath, your mind wanders, you recognize that your mind has wandered, and in a non-judgmental way, you bring your awareness back to the breath. Okay? So you have an awareness of your breath, your mind wanders, you recognize that your mind has wandered, and in a non-judgmental way, you bring your awareness back to the breath. And that cycle plays out as we meditate over and over and over and over and over and over. As many times as our mind wanders, and as many times as we recognize that it's wandered, we non-judgmentally bring our awareness back to the breath. It's really important to know that because I hear from a lot of people that they can't meditate because their mind is too active. Our mind is naturally a wanderer, and it serves a function of keeping us safe, of reminding us of what it needs to be reminding us of. And that's your mind doing its job, okay? In meditation, that's part of meditation. Your mind is going to wander. When you recognize that it has wandered, you simply bring your awareness back to the breath. Now, in terms of breathing, for the sake of today, we're going to do a little breathing meditation now, but I would like you to breathe, if you can, in and out through your nose. And I would like you to take a deep breath, okay? So in order to do that, I want you to imagine that your body is like an empty bucket and your breath is like water, okay? What happens when we put water into an empty bucket? It goes all the way down to the very bottom of the bucket and then slowly starts to rise, okay? So when you breathe in this meditation, as you inhale, I want the breath to go in through your nose, down the back of your throat, all the way down your torso to the very bottom of your belly, okay? And then as you exhale, it's going to follow that path all the way back out. So to begin, I want you to just take a moment and settle into a position that is comfortable for you. Maintaining an upright posture with both feet on the floor. Lengthening your spine, and imagine that your pelvis is gently floating in space. Allowing your eyes to close or softening your gaze downwards if that feels right for you. Letting yourself land in the present moment. Checking in for just a moment with whatever sensations might be experiencing in your body. Noticing where your mind wants to go. Remembering that when it wanders, simply bring your awareness back to the present moment, back to your breath without judgment. Letting yourself now be fully present in this moment. Letting yourself be just as you are. Bringing your awareness now to your breath. Being present with each breath. Breathing in through your nostrils as you inhale. Breathing out through your nostrils as you exhale. Paying attention to the quality of your breath. Noticing if your breath is long or short. Noticing if your breath is fluid and smooth, or is there a place where it gets stuck and feels a bit jagged? Noticing what is different when you inhale compared to when you exhale. Noticing when your mind wanders. Taking time to thank your mind for thinking what it was thinking. And then non-judgmentally, bringing your awareness back to your breath in the present moment. Beginning now to sense that place in your body where you feel your breath to be most alive. Perhaps it is at your nostrils as you feel the cool air passing through as you inhale, and the warm air passing out as you exhale. Perhaps you feel it most vividly in your belly as the walls of your abdomen expand as you inhale, and then contract again as you exhale. Or perhaps you feel the breath by tracking its entire cycle, following it in through your nostrils, down the back of your throat, and into the bottom of your belly as you inhale, and then back up through your body, through the back of your throat, and out your nostrils as you exhale. Remembering again that when your mind wanders, simply bring your awareness back to your breath in the present moment. Back to that place where you feel it to be most alive. Letting go of controlling your breath. trusting the abundant wisdom of your body to breathe just right in this moment. Observing and being present with each inhalation and each exhalation. Noticing this breath right here. Noticing this breath right here. Allowing yourself to feel the experience of each breath. Being present with each breath. Allowing yourself the space to just be as you are. Breathing in and breathing out. Right here in this moment. I invite you to take a few more breaths. And when you feel that it serves you, I invite you once again to open your eyes. Normally, I would ask how that was, but since I can't see you nor can I hear you, I hope that you were able to soften into being present in the moment with your breath, and that the experience brought you some comfort and peace in your day. I want to talk briefly about what the research says about mindfulness. Now, mindfulness research reports improvement of symptoms in a wide variety of both mental health and physical conditions. Now, it's important to note that most of the research that has been done over the past 40 years on mindfulness meditation, and there's a lot of it, in most of those studies, participants are doing daily meditations for anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes a day over the course of usually either a 6 or 8 week period. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Now, the most frequently cited benefits of mindfulness meditation are that it decreases our experience of stress, anxiety, depression, insomnia, and pain. So, mindfulness meditation can benefit us by decreasing stress, anxiety, depression, insomnia, and pain. I just want to touch on the fact that because we are experiencing an increase in stress and anxiety at this time, one of the things that is greatly impacted when we experience this is our ability to sleep. And so mindfulness meditation is one thing that we can do to help to deactivate us so that we can sleep through the night. Okay? In addition to these, one of the most important discoveries to emerge from the research in mindfulness meditation is that it can actually change our brains. So we used to believe that once we reached adulthood, our brains were fixed, that there was no changing them. Thanks to technological advances, we now have the ability to do brain scans and observe our brain's activity during a wide variety of activities over time. And what we've come to recognize is that our brain is not a fixed entity. Rather, research reveals the amazing neuroplasticity of the brain. Our brain can actually change. And in meditation, the way this works is that it can actually change the way that our neurons talk to one another, which can change the neurological pathways in our brain, which can then change the way that we think and we feel, thus changing the way that we relate to ourselves, and also changing the way that we relate to the world around us. So you remember earlier when I was talking about my reaction to when Nicole first suggested, hey, why don't we do our wellness talks online? I was in a state of activation. And in that state of activation, okay, what was triggered was certain neurological pathways in my brain. It was impacting the way that I was thinking. It was impacting the way that I was feeling. It was impacting the way that I was relating to myself and the way that I was relating to the world. It wasn't until through meditation that I was able to come down from that so that I could feel grounded and deactivated, so that I was then in a place where it made a shift in me, engaging new neurological pathways in my brain, changing the way that I was feeling, changing the way that I was thinking, also changing the way that I related to myself and the world around me. Once I could get to that place, I could then re-engage. And of course, my response was, yes, absolutely. Let's do our wellness talks online. Another really important discovery to emerge from the research on meditation is its impact on our autonomic nervous system. Now, this is a very, very simplistic view of the autonomic nervous system. It is actually much more complex than this, but for our sake today, I'm just going to talk about it in terms of two of the main systems: the sympathetic nervous system, which is our fight, flight, and freeze response, and the parasympathetic nervous system, which is our rest and repair mode. Now, normally when we breathe, okay, our respiratory system is an automatic system. We don't have to think about it, okay? We can breathe all day, all night, and never have to consciously think about it, okay? What happens when we bring our awareness to our breath in the present moment, okay, is that it actually disengages us from fight, flight, or freeze. So it shuts down our sympathetic nervous system and engages the parasympathetic nervous system. In other words, it puts us into a state of rest and repair, okay? We cannot be activated and calm at the same time, okay? So when we meditate, okay, it takes us out of fight or flight and puts us into rest and repair. This was rather a huge discovery for us. And it's one of the things that makes meditation so beneficial for us. So for me, when I was activated, okay, meditation helped to deactivate me by shutting down my fight and flight response and putting me into a state of rest and repair so that I could relate to myself and the world in a different way. Now, I would like to do one more meditation to finish off. And so I would like to invite you to find a comfortable position wherever this finds you. Okay. Inviting you to close your eyes. Inviting yourself to let go of the stressors of your day. Letting go of all the things you had to accomplish in order to be here right now. Letting go of whatever worries might be there for you in this moment. Letting go of the fear of the unknown in terms of what lies ahead for all of us. Giving yourself permission to be present in this moment. Noticing how you are supported in whatever position you find yourself in. If you are seated in a chair, noticing how the backrest supports you. Noticing the support your bum receives in the seat. Noticing your feet on the floor. Paying attention to the way each of your toes and the balls of your feet and your heels all make contact with the floor in their own way. Letting yourself soften into this support. Noticing that you don't have to work so hard to maintain your posture. Taking time now to scan your body. Letting go of any unnecessary tension that you might be holding in your shoulders, in your neck, your jaw. Letting yourself soften the muscles around your eyes and your mouth. Softening your arms, your hands, even your fingers. Letting go of any tension in your legs and in your feet. Letting whatever tension is there for you to melt away. Bringing your awareness now to your breath. Breathing in through your nose, breathing out through your nose. Feeling the cool air around your nostrils as you inhale, the warm air as you exhale. Remembering that when you recognize your mind has wandered, to thank your mind for thinking what it was thinking and gently bring your awareness back to your breath without judgment. Continuing to follow your breath into your body, this time bringing your awareness to your heart center. Noticing in this moment whatever sensations might be present for you. Noticing whatever emotions are there for you. And just giving them space. And allow yourself to be present with whatever is there for you in the moment. There's no need to push whatever is there away. No need to bury it. Simply noticing whatever is there and letting it be. Imagining now that your heart center is also your source of light and energy. Paying attention to how your energy radiates through every cell in your body. letting yourself feel your energy flowing through you in this moment. Feeling it in your heart center, feeling it in your arms and hands, feeling it in your head, feeling it in your legs and feet, feeling your energy throughout your entire body. Calling to mind now something you are grateful for. It could be anything, big or small. There is no right answer. Holding that thing for which you are grateful in your mind, noticing now how that changes your energy. Noticing what shifts in relation to your energy. Noticing how the weight of your energy feels in relation to feeling grateful. Noticing how you experience the flow of your energy differently. Noticing how the temperature of your energy has changed. Noticing any shifts in the emotional quality of your energy. Continuing to feel into your experience of being grateful. Noticing if being grateful creates an openness or an expansiveness that allows you to deepen into your experience of being grateful. Taking a moment now to bask in the energy of feeling grateful. Letting that grateful energy flow through every part of you. Feeling it in every cell in your body. Taking a few more breaths. When it serves you, I invite you to open your eyes slowly. That concludes today's webinar. Again, I would like to thank you for joining me. I wish you all a very peaceful day. Please remember that I will be here next week as well at 1 o'clock. Each week I'm going to try and do a different meditation. I'm going to be offering some different tools in terms of mindfulness that will help us through this difficult time. And thank you again for joining me. And again, I wish you a peaceful day.
Thanks a lot, Grant. That was wonderful. Do you have time for a few questions that are coming in the chat?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
please.
actually, while people type some questions, I'll just tell you a couple things that I'm reading in the chat here. I really enjoyed this from a participant during the first meditation. She said, it was great. I started by listening and tidying my office, which is kind of, yeah, how we fall back in our multitasking way of being. But then she said she sat down and did the breathing. And then she felt the body changes, slowing down, felt herself being grateful for the ability to breathe clearly. She says, wow, something taken so for granted and now it means so much.
Wow. Wonderful.
Other people just expressing that really helped them to slow down.
Mm.
That they really enjoyed hearing about the research-based benefits. And someone said, it's a great experience, my daily calm. It looks like an app, maybe. I
Yes.
guess, yeah,
Yeah.
mirrors what you shared, and I enjoy the outcome every day. So,
Wonderful.
um, someone said that she found herself getting very emotional and tearful when she
Mhm.
took the time to focus on her breathing. Yeah, we're surprised by what comes up often, eh?
Yeah. When we stop to slow down.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Um, feel free to type more questions or comments here. Since somebody mentioned an app, I wonder, Grant, what are some of your favorite go-to resources for guided meditations?
I think some of my favorite apps, certainly the app Calm is very popular. And that's a favorite. Another favorite of mine is called Insight Timer.
Mm.
Um, and that is a free app, and you can put parameters in terms of how long you want to practice your meditation for, the type of the type of meditation that you want to practice. There are thousands of meditations on this app, and so if I can really tailor it to the type of meditation that I want to do on any given day.
The one that became one of my favorites you introduced me to, I'm just looking at here, the one that's just called Mindfulness.
Ah, yes. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
that one
just
too.
a picture of someone sitting in kind of a yoga position. There's something I really like about that one. A lot of the kind of um, people, who have done a lot of writing and brought mindfulness to us here in Western culture, do some of those guided meditations. And Tara Brach's website,
Yes.
BRACH.
Yeah, Tara Brach has really good resources for meditation.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
wonderful. A lot of free stuff.
yeah.
Someone is saying, wonderful insight on how meditation affects the sympathetic and parasympathetic systems.
Mhm.
It's a very significant insight for her. Who would we reach out to or email to if we're looking to set up one-on-one counseling? You can call our office. If you go to the website, you'll see the number 780-460-0022, or text us or email, and our awesome admin team would be happy to set you up for a one-on-one session. A question here. Thank you for this. I work in addiction and mental health. It is very difficult when you're trying to be strong for your clients and your coworkers. Sometimes it's hard to focus. Some mindfulness throughout the day may help with my grounding. I like the story about activation and how your mood can be shifted if you're not in the place of being regulated. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Once we move into that state of activation, it really impacts us in significant ways. And in fact, once we get so activated, it can actually turn off the prefrontal cortex, which is our thinking part of our brain. And when we go into that state of activation, we're really just dealing with survival. And so we want to constantly work as much as we can to stay within that window of tolerance, to be able to manage relationships, manage the way that we think and feel and behave. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I really just want to thank this person for the work that she's doing right now. Is so important. And I'm sure there's a lot of people, some at least, who are tuning into us today who are healthcare workers and helpers in other ways doing essential services. And I do think those of us in this field, if we've been able at times to do our work well and not necessarily do all of the self-care we need to, this isn't one of those times. Refilling your bucket, as I talk to my kids about, and really taking time for some of these practices is so important. So thank you for that question. Yeah. Someone is saying she feels so relaxed right now. She almost fell asleep at her desk. Thank you so much. This is what I needed, and I love the information as well.
Nice.
A couple of other people saying thank you as well. Yeah. while we're just waiting, I'll add a question if you don't mind. As someone who has every intention to meditate, as we've talked about this a lot, kind of like exercise. Like, what do you notice in yourself and your clients are some of the barriers or resistance to doing this as regularly? I mean, the research is so overwhelming in terms of all of the positive effects of it. And it can be just, really difficult sometimes to integrate it in life. What are some things that you've kind of learned to move past that and get into a better routine of it?
I think one of the things that has really helped me is really making it my own. Although meditation is grounded in the Buddhist faith, it is also practiced in a lot of different ways in other religions as well. And so I think, when I first present the idea of meditation to clients, there can be some resistance just based on that alone, right? Oh, that doesn't sit right with me. I think we kind of see it as this, only those kind of people meditate, and I'm not one of those kind of people. And so it's really just about recognizing that it is meditation, but it is, you can make it what you need it to be, what you want it to be. You can do it on your own time. It can or cannot be in a faith context. It's really about making it, I think, your own practice and doing it in a way that serves you the best. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got, a number of comments here. People really resonating with that, knowing it would be helpful, but it's been hard to. It'll be interesting in this time how, with for some people, some of the busyness of their regular routine gone, whether or not it will allow for us to integrate some of these practices that we've been meaning to do. One of the barriers that I find that can be a barrier in just about anything good that we try to do is self-criticism. Where one of the voices that comes in my mind as we're doing the meditation is, I'm not really good at this. Why can't I really get good at meditation or do it often enough? I wrote down a note to myself that I think I'm going to add a webinar and call it something like, am I good at pandemic, or I suck at pandemic?
Right.
And just talk about whether it's meditation or any other thing that would be helpful to us. How self-criticism just puts a stop to our ability to do that.
Yeah, I'm actually glad that you brought up that point, Nicole, because, when I talk about the process of meditation and coming back to the breath in a non-judgmental way, the reason for that is because normally in our day-to-day lives, we are so critical of ourselves. We hold ourselves to this very, very high standard that on even our best day is rarely attainable. And so it's very easy for us, especially when we're experiencing increased stress and anxiety, to go to war with ourselves.
Yeah.
To steal a phrase from Tara Brach, right? And to be really critical of what we're doing, what we're not doing, all of those things. And that's why the non-judgmental part of coming back to the breath is so vital, because we are not criticizing ourselves in that moment, right? We are accepting ourselves in that moment as we are, right? As imperfect as we are. Our mind has wandered yet again. I've recognized that it's wandered. I'm just going to bring my awareness back to the breath. When we do that, we actually start to create a new neurological pathway in our brain. It is a new neurological pathway of self-acceptance that is saying, I'm okay. It's okay that my mind wandered yet again, right? If we were to do the opposite and go into that place of self-criticism, it just reactivates all of those old neurological pathways in the brain that really reinforce, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy.
Yeah.
Right? And we really want to move away from that. And so that's one of the important parts of meditation.
Yeah. I just love what we've learned about neuroplasticity in the brain in these recent years, because it's so hopeful to me when I try to start something new like this, to know it actually won't be this hard forever. Know, that you put in the time and eventually, you're rebuilding your brain to make it easier. Yeah. A few more great questions. Do you ever use music as a part of your mindfulness meditation?
I actually almost always use music as a part of my mindfulness meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Most of my practice takes place in my living room, in front of my computer, and I use several different YouTube channels,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll just put in, meditation music. One of the ones that comes to mind that I use often is Yellow Brick Cinema. Um, and yeah, but there are lots and lots of different meditation music channels from which to choose from on YouTube. So that's often my go-to when I'm at home.
Mm.
Yeah,
Great music.
and the music in and of itself, we know that it impacts us emotionally,
Mm.
and so when we can find music that is calming and soothing, music can also be a form to help deactivate us, to bring us down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Someone is asking, is time of day important when it comes to meditation? Is there a best time to meditate?
Great question. Um, I
Don't say
like
it's
to
the
s-
morning.
I like to say I like to say that there is no bad time to
Yeah.
meditate, and it really comes down to personal preference.
Mm.
I personally find it more beneficial for me in my day to meditate in the mornings. So my morning routine is to get up and to sit down and do my meditation, and that really for me sets me up for the rest of the day. I'm approaching the day from a place of calm, from a place of groundedness, um, as opposed to, I know at the end of the day I can sometimes be a little bit activated, and so rather than just use it as a means of coming down, I actually like to use it in the morning as a way of moving forth into my day from a place of feeling grounded, from a place of being calm. But again, meditating at night is also really great because again, it turns off our fight or flight, puts us into rest and repair, and really can set us up for going into having a good night's sleep.
Yeah. I really believe that about the morning. As you know, I'm a night owl, so I hate to hear about more things I
Yes.
should be doing in the morning. But honestly, when my clients talk about starting even just a 10-minute routine in the morning, the most amazing thing I hear from them, it actually isn't how they felt in those 10 minutes, but just how it resonates and impacts their whole day and
That's
helps
right.
them to stay regulated and to respond rather than react. So you
Yes.
do seem to get, extra benefits out of it.
Yes. Yeah, that has
Uh,
been my experience too.
yeah. Someone's asking, is there a way I can help someone through their anxiety with this or a similar method? Mm.
That's a that's a pretty big question. I think that when it comes to anxiety, uh, the breath is our best friend, right? And again, some simple exercises that you can do, um, even just to slow down the breathing, can be beneficial. And if you're helping someone who is in a state of activation, even just getting them to focus on their breath is beneficial. Okay, bring them into the moment, bring them into the present moment. And we hear a lot about diaphragmatic breathing and breathing in for a count of 4, out for a count of 8. And so if you can implement something like that, that's really beneficial because when we breathe in, it actually slightly increases our heart rate. So
Mm.
if you're in a state of anxiety, every time you inhale, that's increasing your heart rate a little bit. But when we exhale, it actually slows the heart rate down. So we want to do a little bit of a quicker breath in, and we want a slow breath out so our heart has a longer time to slow down.
Mm.
And over time, as you breathe in, for as example, a count of 4, breathe out a count of 8, gradually that will help to slow the heart rate down and take you out of that state of activation.
Mm. It's a great exercise. Another exercise I really like for anxiety that involves breathing is when you breathe in through your nose
Yes.
and out through your nose. And you do that 5 times. And then in through your nose, out through your mouth, in through your mouth, out through your mouth, in through your mouth, out through your nose. If I got all 4 combinations right,
Yes.
it's like
Yes, that's right.
patting your head and rubbing your belly. Um, But anyway, it's great because you get 20 breaths, because I just find as an anxious person, when I tell myself I'm going to breathe, I think I've been breathing forever, and it's been, you know, I've taken 2 short breaths or something. So you get lots of breath, but also you've got to count and pay attention to the cycle. So it helps with some of the
Yes.
intrusive thoughts too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And remember that so much of our anxiety is related to either past events or future worry. And so that exercise that you just talked about, Nicole, is so great because it forces us to pay attention to our breath in the present moment. And we can recognize, our body recognizes that in the present moment, there is no threat, right?
Mm-hmm.
In this moment, we're okay, we're safe.
Mm-hmm. I think what you just said connects to another question someone had about how meditation helps people that freeze.
Mm,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
Um, uh, I love the explanation about why our mind wanders. Someone found that to be helpful.
Mhm.
Oh, someone's really resonating with my idea for a webinar. There's so much pressure on social media right now to use this time off to clean and work out and eat healthy. Almost feels like you need to keep up with everyone else. Yeah. And then if you have kids, you get these beautiful color-coded schedules that you can, or from Pinterest that you can do. And I honestly, we haven't had one of these pandemics in 100 years, and somehow people already have rule books out about how to do it the right way. So
One
yeah.
of my favorite memes is don't just do something, sit there.
Mm. Oh yeah, yeah.
Right?
Oh
What would it be like for us to, instead of, you know, moving from doing in our regular life to now self-isolating and doing, what if we actually took this opportunity to just sit and be for part of our day?
yeah, yeah. What a unique opportunity for some of us to try that.
Yeah,
Yeah. And yet our tendency is in every situation to try to keep doing what we do.
that's right. Yeah,
An incredible challenge.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to post on Facebook later today this beautiful infographic that someone made about 3 different kind of layers of being with this. And one is reactive, and one is learning, and
Mm,
one is growth oriented. And there's kind of examples of each. So
wonderful.
what you've just talked about is, what if this became a kind of growth oriented
Yeah,
opportunity for us? And my experiences in moving through all of those 3 many times in a day,
yeah,
reacting and then trying to learn. And so, yeah, and it would be interesting to get maybe even a little bit of conversation going about people where they're at with that.
indeed.
But that takes us to the top of the hour. And I thank you very much, Grant. This is really helpful. And I can see lots of excitement people have here about getting your help in trying to integrate this into at least a weekly practice that
Cool.
may become a daily practice.
Yeah, I invite you
And
back.
yeah, so we're going to record this and we'll post it on the website so people who catch up with you in subsequent weeks can listen to some of the rationale and more information about meditation. And then we can just kind of get into the good stuff in the
Wonderful.
subsequent weeks. So thank you, all of you, for being here and spending this time with us. Feel free to reach out anytime if you have ideas for me of other things, webinars, or ways that we can help you through this. Be happy to do all that we can. So take care and enjoy your day.
Wonderful. Thank you.